Here once was a girl that did not care. Not for the war that constantly occurred in her world, or the world outside of hers. Not for the insults from her classmates, or from her former self-proclaimed friends. Not for the summer heat, or the freezing winter night. She didn't even care that her parents, more specifically her mother, tried to ask her why she seemed so distant. So very hollow did she appear, that it almost seemed like she didn't exist at all. To the average person, this was very concerning. But to her, it was so normal. She didn't even care about how odd this seemed to others, or how concerning it looked to others. She simply just didn't care. A demon came in the night, and as much as it tried to make her afraid of it, she didn't even shed a tear, nor a whimper, nor a shiver. "Do you really not care?" asked the demon curiously. "I'll kill you in every..." The demon snarled directly in her face, but stopped when it realized that she really didn't care. It could have done unspeakable things to her, killed and devoured her, but it just wouldn't matter to her at all. It peered into her mind to see if perhaps it was a bluff or a simple trick to get it to leave, but to its annoyed shock, the girl didn't care. Eventually, it left her alone, disappearing into the night as fast as it had appeared. Her father, drunk off his ass as always, came home shortly after the demon left. Her parents screamed and fought, and before she knew it, she heard a loud thump as her mother's body hit the floor. She was now thirsty and simply walked past her father and into the kitchen. Her father, panicking and crying, tried to get his daughter's attention, but simply failed to do so. It was as if the blood her 15-year-old feet stepped in didn't matter. She only dropped the glass that shattered onto the floor and mixed with her mother's blood because her father grabbed her wrist. "What the hell is wrong with you? Can't you hear me? Help me stop your mother from bleeding, please." To the horror of her father, the girl didn't move and didn't look at him. He quickly grew angry and slapped her repeatedly. He tried threatening her, yelling, beating her, and throwing things. But despite feeling the pain and being covered in her mother's blood, she slowly stood up with a blank expression. "Damn it, Frankie. What the fuck is the matter with you?" There was silence for a few seconds. "Answer me, you little." He slipped in his dead wife's blood, causing him to hit his head on the polished wooden floor. His head was killing him, and the room spun as tried to focus his vision. For the first time in over 6 months, his daughter finally spoke as she stood in the same spot. Her eyes gave an empty, hollow feel. She was covered in cuts, bruises, and blood of both her mother and hers. When silence calls, death comes. She said it so plainly you would have thought she was reading it off a script. She didn't express any pain, guilt, anger, or happiness. She just stood there, barely blinking. "What the hell are you talking about?" her father said as he rolled to one side, still struggling to get up off the floor. "You wanted the voices to die out so that you could have some semblance of peace. You wanted to die, but you were too scared to do it yourself." By this time, her father was on his hands and knees, looking straight at the door that he had broken off the hinges. Behind him, his daughter didn't move a muscle. She just stared at him in the dark living room. "Shut up," he said as he crawled to the darkened outside. That's when he realized something. Something that had frightened him, but something that for the last 6 months he didn't question. How could his daughter be here when she was still in the psych ward? How long had she really been home? Did his wife know that Frankie Crabgrass was here instead of where she was supposed to be, and didn't say anything at all? He slowly looked over his aching shoulder and saw that she wasn't there. He sat on his butt, wincing in pain as he looked around and saw that it was as if his only daughter was never there at all. The body of his wife was gone, leaving only a blood trail from the living room to the kitchen and out the now open back door. "There's no way," he said as he tried to figure out how his average-built daughter managed to take his wife's lifeless body out of the beautiful 2-story home without a sound. Had he really been this drunk? Or was something terrible coming for him next? He didn't wait to find out. He ran out the door and tried to start his car, but it refused to start. There wasn't even so much as a click of the engine as he turned his key. He got angry as he kept the doors locked and kept trying to get the car to start. There were only a few street lights on at this time of the night. The neighbors didn't have their lights on, for the exception of a couple of houses, making it eerily more dark and empty. He looked around for somewhere else to hide, but was too scared to risk it. That's when he looked in the rearview mirror and saw his daughter sitting there quietly. The whites of her eyes were all he could see. One by one, he felt a sharp pain in his neck and fell asleep. When he woke, he was tied down to a large table with a saw blade at the end of it. "Frank?" He looked around for somewhere else to hide, but was too scared to risk it. That's when he looked in the rearview mirror and saw his daughter sitting there quietly. The whites of her eyes were all he could see. One by one, he felt a sharp pain in his neck and fell asleep. When he woke, he was tied down to a large table with a saw blade at the end of it. "Frankie, please, don't do this," he pleaded. "Baby, you're not well. We can fix this," he screamed, as he saw the room was filled with the dead bodies of the townspeople, all of different ages. "I don't care anymore. You left me in a place that I didn't belong, to make sure my mother would never get sent away for the unspeakable acts against me. all to keep the family together. They all could have done something, and yet they did nothing. Nothing but gossip and judge. The saw was now on, and was trailing up between her father's legs. "It's not true, baby girl. Your mother didn't mean it. She loved you," he said with tears in his eyes. "Damn it, Frankie. Get over it. It was 5 years ago." The blade got closer and closer to his genitals as Frankie Crabgrass whispered into his ear, "I did. In death." She walked away, as now the only ones who kept her father company were the dead townspeople, who were forced to look as if they were watching everything. As the blade got closer and closer to splitting him in half, it stopped. He cried in humiliation, and then started feeling as though he could hear his heart rate spike faster and faster until it gave out. His dead eyes were on his daughter, who looked at him for the last time and said, "When silence calls, death comes." And she slowly shut the door, still feeling as hollow as ever.